And and a lot of times you won't get that, especially if, like I said, the person is dead or if the person is an unsafe person. You're not going to get that from them.
Unsafe,
or if they're just a horrible person who has no idea
still,
how to take accountability for their actions.
And that's why I say you have to set a boundary there with that person, and that you might not be able to be in person with that person, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I want to explore this. I mean, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around how do I forgive without reconciliation? Are you going to explain that? Or are you going to tell me how to do that?
Well, let's just keep going. Yeah. So let's just see.
Is that later in the notes that I didn't get?
That might be.
So keep going.
So also, forgiveness is not weakness. It's strength. So listen carefully. Sometimes people think, I forgive. If I forgive, it means I'm letting them win.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
that's what they're thinking. Or I'm just being soft. So they think it maybe is a weakness. But in reality, forgiveness is one of the hardest and the most courageous things you can do. It takes strength to let go of your instincts, what your instinct is possibly screaming for, which is revenge or injustice. How dare they?
Retribution.
Yeah. But true strength is found in being able to rise above that wrong and not let it dictate your life or how you might live. You see, rising above that. So it's the strength to be able to forgive.
What?
I was going to say, this sounds mighty easy. Sounds a lot easier than it actually is.
Oh, it sounds mighty easy. I'm thinking it sounds very hard.
I'm saying it sounds. It's
easier to say.
Actually, wait. No, let me clarify. Actually, let me rephrase. This sounds very simple, but as you said, it's not easy. The actual steps and what you have to do.
So here's a question I have. With this new news for me, forgiveness and reconciliation are two separate things. With the understanding now that a person doesn't have to come to me and ask to be forgiven for me to forgive, I know that should make this easier, but does it or does it make it harder? Because now it seems like you're asking a lot from me. So do you think it makes it easier or harder?
Well, I'm going to say it is hard. It is one of the hardest thing a person can do, but it also will help you move forward and have life better than having bitterness and resentment and that pain of that as well. So it is a work, and it is a work in progress. It's not something that automatically happens. It's a process.
Wow. Well, hopefully this is freeing, because I can just think, let's say someone abused you physically, emotionally, verbally. Let's say somebody abused you, somebody hurt you, somebody really, really did you wrong, not the little petty stuff, that we tend to make big stuff, but I mean really, really big stuff. And now that person moves away, divorces you, dies. You never see that person again. Wow, you could be just stuck there.
Absolutely.
Do you see that a lot?
Sometimes I do see that. Yeah, they're stuck. Absolutely.
And so part of what you're sharing with us is what you share with them. Okay, forgiveness and reconciliation are two different things. So you're looking for this to happen, which may never happen. Mm-hmm. And then plus you have no control over it.
Right.
Here's what you can control right here.
That's right.
So you can move to forgive this part without this part.
And like I say, it is a choice to do that. It is a choice to forgive.
Now, question there, though. I know we're talking about forgiveness, not reconciliation, but in a relationship, shouldn't the goal be reconciliation? And so forgiveness seems like that first step based on the definition you gave of reconciliation. Mm-hmm. So that's the first step that needs to be done. But in a relationship, you have to go the next step.
Absolutely, you do. You have to go to the next step. You have to rekindle that. And that usually is you have found a safety in that relationship, and you're building trust in that relationship. So you are ready to release this and move on. So yes, absolutely, in a relationship, you have to reconcile. As a matter of fact, you get to write a new narrative, have a new reframe for this new after forgiveness. Okay, so also here's number 3 is not
What was 1 and 2? Go back
okay.
over it.
1 and
You don't
2.
have to tell me again.
No, this is about what forgiveness is not.
Right. This is what forgiveness is not. It's not necessarily reconciliation. It's not weakness. It's strength.
Okay.
And this next one is it's not a one-time emotional switch. It's a process. You're not going to switch the brain off from the pain and the resentment and the hurt immediately. You're going to work your way through that. And I'm going to give you some stages later, some phases later that will help you work through that
It
process.
seems like a lot of stuff you're saying is counterintuitive to what I think most people think this actually is.
Absolutely.
Well, what do you think most people think
Well,
forgiveness is?
I think a lot of people, I'd love to hear from you in the comments, I think a lot of people think forgiveness is a one-time thing.
It's a one-time choice. I guess you could say that.
But I think they may even struggle with, I can imagine me struggling with when I talk about not forgiving myself, how there's a one-time decision that I make to move on, but then it comes up over and over again. I didn't realize that's part of the process.
That is part of the
Yeah.
process.
It's like, oh my gosh, I'm dealing with this again.
Or I thought it was like, well, maybe I haven't forgiven
Yeah. But you're saying, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying that the brain doesn't switch off like that, and you know that. Let's just say you get burned on the stove. You get your hand off the stove. But the impact is still there, and it has to go through a process of healing and getting better, and then it's gone. So yes, that's like forgiveness. It's going to take a while. The brain just doesn't switch off and say, "I forgive you. Everything is good."
But again, I think, or not but I'll say again, I think Dad's right about how that can be kind of freeing, because then it means if you're struggling with I would say, I don't know if there's like a final forgiveness, but if you're struggling with getting to that point where you release it, then I think so. Can you forgive without releasing? Is it like you make the decision to forgive?
When we get to the phases, you'll see at the 4th phase, you're going to begin to look at that person in a different way, and that's what we're going to get to.
Okay, so Mom, I know you keep saying it's coming later, but I think this is a good time for us to talk about the phases of forgiveness because I have questions.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the phases. So Dr. Robert Enright and his colleagues came up with the 4 phases of a model. It's called the Enright Forgiveness Process Model. And they came up with the first one is the uncovering phase. And then the second one is the decision phase, the work phase, and then the deepening phase. So we're going to go through those phases and talk them through so that we can have an idea of how to get started with forgiveness.
I think this is an interesting time to point out the importance of words. Y'all know I value words.
Okay.
It's interesting that they didn't say this is 4 steps. Because I think steps, to your point, Dad, it implies
short.
Steps are short. It implies
these are phases.
It implies it's something very like immediate almost, right? You take a step, it's done.
Good job, Dr. Enright.
Yeah, Mama. But a phase takes more time. It implies that this is going to take you more than just a day, more than just a moment, right? More than a moment, more than an hour, more than a day. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's get into these 4 phases with the uncovering phase.
Okay, the uncovering phase. You're becoming aware of the negative impact, the offense, how it has had impact on your life. So you're really looking at how is this affecting me? Facing the reality of your pain rather than just burying it, right? Okay. So here's an example.
Really important. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I realize my resentment is costing me peace, sleep, and joy.
I realize my resentment is costing me peace, sleep, and joy. Okay, I understand that because maybe in terms of my inability to be self-reflective, maybe I don't understand the impact that my unforgiveness, because I'm trying to hurt you, not me. Last time I'm trying to do is hurt me.
Right.
So I'm trying to harbor this unforgiveness to punish you. But but maybe I don't realize, and this is what you encouraged me to do in the uncovery phase, is to look at how this has impacted me. I understand what you're saying,
Absolutely.
How it's physically impacting you. I think that can be one of the first signs that you feel. I think sleep could be one of the first things that you notice.
Yeah,
when
something is
happens.
going on. Yeah. Something is happening, and I gotta deal with it.
Okay, so that's part of the uncovery phase.
Uncovering phase.
Uncovering phase. Okay.
The next phase is the decision phase.
Okay.